Welcome back to Sing with Cinderella. In today's tech episode, I'm so excited to be sharing with you my top iPad apps for any kind of musician. If you're excited to learn about all these wonderful apps, practice apps, sheet music, how to transfer scores, all that you would possibly need as a musician, go ahead and give this video a like down below. Subscribe to my channel if you have not already. Hit the bell for notifications so you know when upcoming videos are popping up on YouTube. And without further ado, let's go ahead and get started with my top #1 app, and that is the ForScore app. I have already done a full review on the app because I love it so much. My highlights are just the ease of organization with the app. Once you accumulate so many different scores as a musician, it becomes hard to have all of these different binders, all these anthologies, and it will really fill up your bookshelf eventually. So what I love about the ForScore app is that you can categorize. So up here in the top left-hand corner, you can view by composer, genre, tags, labels, and you can input all of these in yourself. There are a lot of different tools in this app, and it's why I love it so much. So for example, this is a score that I have, and what I love about it is that if you have the Apple Pencil, definitely something that I recommend having. If you have the iPad, you can take notes on it, you can have different colors, you can highlight, you can add different notations. I can add that flat over there. I'm gonna delete it, I don't need it there. There's a ruler if you're going to try and make a line. Oh, I'm gonna make a pink line right there. It's gonna be a perfectly straight line. I can get rid of it. I'm gonna delete that. You can add text if I wanted to put in a translation here. You can erase if you make a mistake. But what I love using this app, especially when I'm in practice and maybe I'm not with my trio or an accompanist live, then I can put down a recording on the bottom and embed a recording, an instrumental track, and I can even make recordings while I'm in the app. Top right-hand corner, check out the toolbar. You can put annotations, you can put links. So if I wanted to link the translation maybe, I can add a button and that's gonna open a link. Right? That's the action, open link, and you can put different kinds of things. If you wanted to have a metronome click a certain time, if you wanted to prompt a pitch, so it can be basically a pitch pipe ready for you to go, you can do that, and you can put it right at the top of the score. I'm gonna do an open link, and I'm going to place it right here. So that's a really neat trick to have. And just to go through the different kinds of tools in this toolbox in the top right-hand corner, you can make notes on the score, you can scan right into the app, no need to go into a different app. You can do it all right in this one $15 app, which is really incredible. You can import templates if you'd like to put in PDFs and then make notes on that if you want staff paper, for example. You can pull up the piano. This is a lifesaver in rehearsal if you just need a quick pitch or you want to play a part. I'm just playing the part. Yeah, and of course it's not perfect, it's not a full keyboard, but you can move it around to get the different octaves of the piano, and it's really easy to just pull it up during the rehearsal, give yourself a quick pitch, maybe an interval that you need, and then just exit out. So that's handy. Like I mentioned before, you can record, so I'm just going to start a recording now, and let's say I were in rehearsal and I just need to really remember a part. If I'm in a choral rehearsal, I'm just going to record it really quickly, and then I'm going to save it as recording, and then boom. To access those recordings, I'm just going to tap in the center of the score, and that one is going to show up, the accompaniment track, as well as some other recordings that I have. And of course the organization, as you accumulate all those different scores across your life, what I love is that you can also categorize by set lists. Let's say you'd have a just for fun playlist or a gigging playlist and have them all in order ready to go, and they're just links so you don't have to be copying the scores. Think of it as a filing system on the computer. The app comes down to $14.99 in total, and it's just a one-time fee, which is really awesome. There is a pro subscription that you can purchase, but I don't think that it's completely necessary to have. I'm very satisfied with all of the different things that I can do with just the one-time fee regular part of the app. Speaking of practice tools, the Andante practice journal is really essential for any musician trying to work and improve on their practice and achieve their goals. So ditch the pencil and paper, make everything digital. It's really easy to use, just to toggle between, let's say ForScore, you have your sheet music up, and then go back into the Andante app to keep track of all of your practice-related goals, if you'd like to keep your notes separate. So all you have to do is start a new practice session, and then your time immediately begins. If you'd like to start a timer, let's say you're working on one piece for 15 minutes, you can go to the timer down here, and let's say 15 minutes, start the timer. It's going to start a separate timer, and it's going to tell me right here that the end of my practice session would for that timer within my practice session is just going to be at 7:34, and you can also enable notifications to give you a notification if you're also in another app simultaneously looking at your sheet music, for example. You have your metronome. You can switch it around here according to what you need, which is really great with the visual as well. We also have a tuner, whatever you need, and you can also change the octave, which I really like. You can even make recordings in the app. Let's say you want to do a run through and just tape yourself so you can listen back. Start a recording in the app and then stop, and it'll be living on this practice session with your notes from this specific practice session when you go back to it. So I'm just going to save it and say, we did well today, folks. Great. And I'm just going to click done. Let's say that that practice session is over, and we have the start time, the duration. You can put in your mood to save for later so you can see how that ended up going and how it affected your practice. Your focus level, you can input that yourself. And then we have our session notes below. We did well today, folks. So I'm going to save that session, and all of those practice sessions are going to live on your home screen, and you can refer back to those, refer back to the recordings, refer back to your notes. What I also really love about this is how you have your stats. So you can look at how your monthly progress is going, how many minutes a week you're practicing, how many minutes a month, and seeing how your mood and focus is fluctuating. You can change the time frames here, last 7 days, this month, days of the week, length of session, so you can play around with that. And then up in the right-hand corner, you have the days of the week with how much you have practiced with a circle. So I really love the visuals, and I just really love the layout of everything in the app. That's what really drew me to this app, because there are multiple in the App Store, but the reason why I like this one is because of the visual. And finally, you have your journal entries. You can create different folders. Let's say you want to categorize by year, 2018. 2020, 2021, 2022, and so on. And you can refer back to those, and they're nice and organized, so you're not just looking at hundreds of different journal entries. Up in the left-hand corner, you have this fire emoji, and it's a streak. It's how many times you're practicing in a row. It's almost like Snapchat. How many days repeatedly you start a practice streak, which is really encouraging to keep up your progress and keep up your goals. So that, in a nutshell, is the Andante practice app. You're able to download a Lite version of the app, but I do recommend you pay $4.99 for the upgraded version to fully utilize the app. The Lite version is okay, but to truly make the most out of the app, I think that it's well worth the small price of $4.99 for the app, and it's just a one-time fee. Next up, we have the Ella Sight Singing app. I did a full review on this app because I loved it so much, and to me, this app just takes the cake when it comes to sight reading and learning those skills and ear training. It makes it so much fun. The way that they phrase it, it's almost like a game. It's a challenge, and you get rewarded with different points, and there's a leaderboard. So we have different collections, and it categorizes it with intervals, triads, scales, arpeggios, melodies, tunes, and if you are in high school right now and you're trying to gear up for the AP exam, it has a specific set list for you to go through, and it models the exact questions that you'll have on the exam. So it follows the formatting, which is really, really wonderful. That's a highlight for me for this app, because I haven't seen any other apps that do that. So it's really great for education, but it's also great for a novice musician who's just trying to learn their sight singing skills. But it's also really fun if you're a developed musician and you're just coming back to these things to continuously sharpen up your skills. I went into this app and I became addicted because it was just so much fun. You can go to the path and you kind of go on your journey. It starts out easier, and then it's going to keep on getting harder and harder and harder, and you get rewarded with points with every level. So right now I'm on level 18, and you can go back to them as well, and you'll get stars, and you'll have to get a certain amount of points in order to get to the next level. What I love about it is that it shows you on the screen your tuning as you go through, and then it'll play back what it was supposed to sound like by recording your voice as you sight sing. It's going to go back. You can go back and play what it would have sounded like with the correct notes, and then also highlight in red if you get an incorrect note. So you'll know exactly where you messed up and how to improve for the next time. So it's really a rewarding experience, but it corrects you in real time, and you get to really improve on your skills right in the app without any coaching outside. A very similar app, but more so on the music theory side, is called Tenuto. This app has been around for quite a bit, but what I really like about it, and they're constantly improving it as well, but what I really like is that you can identify a chord or identify a note on a staff. You can work with bass clef or treble clef. You can switch it up, whatever you're trying to work towards. And you can also build a chord and have to give a note on the staff or find it on a keyboard. There's even a fretboard. There's ear training in this app as well. I would recommend the other one for ear training specifically, but this one's more on the identification side and building and constructing chords and scales. You can do keyboard identification, fretboard identification, and there's a lot to explore here. I would recommend this app to specifically intrinsically motivated students and musicians, just because you'll really have to sit down and have the patience to sit with your tablet and learn. There's a lot here, and if you can use it to its full advantage, you'll be very well off, but you will have to have that intrinsic motivation to truly sit down and not have outside help. This next app is called the Sheet Music Scanner app, and you will not believe, but it only costs $3.99 to do this. It not only just scans the sheet music, I mean, that's been done before, but this app, it also reads your sheet music. It can read it in piano. It can do bass if you want. You can do accordion. You can change the instrument. You can change the tempo, and it will play the music for you. So I'm going to actually go ahead and show you what I mean by that. You have a couple of different options when it comes to importing the scores. It's best to have a clean PDF. I've tried a couple of different ones, and I'm noticing that it really needs to be a clean, centered, and flat PDF. If it's kind of curved like this when you take a PDF and it's a little bit slanted when you're scanning, then it's not going to be sufficient enough for it to read. Now, a more expensive program like Sibelius, those add-ons that you have, I mean, that's hundreds of dollars to do what this app is doing for $4. I mean, it's incredible. So you have a couple of different options. You can scan from your camera. You can import the score like what I was saying with a PDF, or if it's in your camera roll, perfect. You can import it there, and then it'll start scanning. And then the last menu item here, it's a pretty simple app. It's a new app, so I'm really excited to see where it goes in the coming couple of years, and because I know that they're constantly going to improve it. And this app is only $4 right now, but I'm sure that they'll raise it in the future. Maybe they won't, but it is an incredible deal for any kind of musician. So I'm going to go to my sheet music list here, and that's where it'll store all of the music that you've already imported, and it saves it that you've scanned before. Okay, so for example, I'm going to show you Notte. Now this one is a little bit harder to read. It wasn't as clean of a PDF, and there are just more notes on the page to read. So I'll show you, it's not exactly picking up everything, but I'll show you. Right now it's just thinking. It doesn't know what's the next thing. Okay, so we get the point here. It's kind of struggling to go through. I'm going to play an easier selection of music. This is When You Wish Upon a Star. It's also a cleaner copy of music. Here it is. I forgot I'd change it to accordion just for the fun of it. So as you can see, you can change it to different kinds of instruments: guitar, mandolin, ukulele, choir, Oz. I'm going to change it to piano again, but that was fun. So I obviously changed the tempo as well. You can change it over here. This is really fast. I'm going to take it back to like 90. Let's say you needed to have a soundtrack. You needed a piano accompaniment, but you weren't able to find it online, but you have the sheet music. perfect. So you can actually have the app read it, as long as you have the sheet music, and then you can export it. You can export it as a PDF, the one that you scanned in it, since it is a scanner app as well. You can transfer it over to Sibelius, for example, if you have the XML file, the MIDI file, WAV, MP3, AAC. So you have multiple options of how you want to export it. But like I was saying with the soundtrack, if you need an accompaniment track, you can export it as an MP3, play it on your Bluetooth speaker, and there you have something to practice with at least, which is pretty nice if you have nothing else to resort to. Now, it's not the same as a human pianist would be playing, or an orchestra would be playing live. It sounds a little robotic, but it is an app, and I'm excited to see it incorporate more of the accents and the crescendos and the dynamics. Right now it can't read those, and it can't read handwriting as well. So it does have to be a printed score. But again, I'm excited to see where it goes in the future, and it's a pretty great start for an app. Next up, we have the Tuner Lite app. I love this app because of the simplicity. I purposely have the Lite version of it. Now, a lot of the apps that I mentioned today, they hit multiple birds with one stone, you could say. They serve multiple purposes, and a lot of the apps do kind of the same thing while they are specific in one area. But this one, I like it because sometimes you just want a tuner. You just want to tune, and that's all you want to do. So I really like the simplicity of it. You can play the sound, so you can play an A just to tune to it if you're a string player, or if you're calibrating to an A regardless. And then you can also press the tuning fork, and then it'll read to you, bum. It'll tell you what note it's reading. And then what I like about it is that it has these light switches. It's telling you if you're going flat or if you're going sharp. Let me try that again. Da. So as you can see, the pin is moving back and forth. And I also love the visual. I'm going to go ahead and turn this off because it's trying to detect my talking as a pitch. But I think every musician just needs a tuner app, and this is simple, it's free, and it's easy to use. You do have to deal with some of the ads that are popping up on the bottom, but you know, it gets the job done. And yes, you can go for a fancier version of a tuner app, but what I like about it is that it's just a tuner. One of the last ones I have on this list is called the IReal Pro app. This is wonderful for learning jazz standards, for jazz musicians just practicing along, but I would say that it's wonderful to have for any kind of musician just to spice up your practicing. I'll show you a couple of different ways that you can use it beyond just jazz, but basically it plays the trio in the back of you, and you pull up your jazz standard, your lead sheet. There are forums that you can go to and pull up the jazz standards from, or you can make your own lead sheet in the app. So it has your own chords. So if you have an original, for example, and you just want to have something to bounce back off of, and you want to have a trio basically accompany you and continue to play around with something, this app is perfect for that. So I'm going to go to my songs here, and I've imported some already. I have A Sunday Kind of Love, Almost Like Being in Love, At Last Autumn in New York. But right now I've pulled up the blues jazz practice track. And on the bottom here, you can play it, you can stop it, you can change the style and the groove of what it's playing in. So right now it's a medium upswing. I'll play it for you. You can change the key as well. So that's a medium upswing. Let's try some Latin. Let's do samba. Now let's forget the chords. I'm going to take them off by taking down the piano and the electric bass. You can also change the instruments. And I'm just going to play with the drums. And I'm just going to play around. I'm going to play with the tempo now. I'm going to make it go faster. and I can just continue to play around with it. But that's how I would use it if I weren't a jazz musician, just to get into a warm-up, for example. There are even some pop styles that you can play around with. So let's do rock, how that would feel in the drum pattern. So this would be good to practice with. So that's pop rock feel. Let's try soul, how that would feel. All right, so I'll give you an example of how this works if you were to do a jazz standard. Here's But Not For Me that I pulled up. This is just from the Jazz Forum, and so this is not my lead sheet. I've put it in B flat, so here it goes. Arms of love, but not for me. Lucky stars above, but not for me. Cool. So now I'm going to change the feel, and let's feel it in a bossa nova style. Let's switch it up. Songs of love, but not for me. Lucky stars above, but not for me. Yeah, so you can continue to play around with that, feel it in different styles, and really use this app for experimentation to spice up your practice sessions and whatever you may need. So that concludes my list of my top iPad apps, but I would like to give some honorable mentions just to the apps that come with the iPad native in iOS, and that is voice memos and just the Notes app. I like to use the Notes app for scanning my sheet music. You can play around with it. You can have black and white. You can have it in color if you just want to scan, or if you want it to be sheet music, I typically do black and white. So that's the Notes app. I love using it for that, and then I'll import it into ForScore, or I'll import it into the sheet music scanner app when it's already done, and I'll crop it and I'll edit it. That is wonderful, and it's free, and it's easy to use. It comes on the app, it comes on the iPad. And then we have our voice memo app. It's really important to listen back on your performances and see how you did and reflect. I like the voice memo app because not only you can categorize it and share it easily across different networks on Drive or keep it in your files, but you can also edit your voice memo right into the voice memo app if you need to crop it, edit it, replace just a little snippet. If you did a voice memo recording of a voiceover, for example, and you just needed to repeat one phrase and you don't have to redo the entire thing, you can do that right in the app, and it comes right on your Apple device. Thanks so much for watching this video. I really hope you enjoyed my top picks for iPad for musicians. Let me know in the comments down below which one is your favorite, and maybe there's another app that's on your mind that wasn't a part of this list. Let me know what it is. I'd love to check it out. Thanks so much for watching this video. Again, please hit the like button below if you have not already. Subscribe to my channel, hit the bell for notifications, and I sincerely hope to see you next time on Sing with Cinderella.